never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Oh, folks, sorry I'm late. Just got caught up with something else, and we'll talk about the something else. I was downloading a few pictures, and bloody time got away from me. So I apologise. I do trust you will forgive me. Now, we're having a bit of trouble getting on our FBN Rumble site for some reason. So let me just remove that from whatever will be the problem. And we won't be on Rumble on FBN tonight. But if you're on Rumble, the VOF channel, g'day, how are you? Great to see so many people joining us on that channel, particularly international guests. Lovely to see you there. I promise I'll spend a bit more time in the comments in the very near future. It looks like we all might have time to spend in front of the computers a lot more in the near future. This message has been passed around in various forms in the last couple of days. I guess forewarned is forearmed. Lockdown 14th of April, essential travel only, 20 litres of fuel per fill, maximum every 2 days. No boats, no jerry cans. Banks will have to report any card transactions at servos for excess transactions, if you like. All major supermarkets have to close, pick up and delivery only. Now, apparently this news comes from a guy that's very well connected and not one to spread rumours, or a conspiracy theorist. So his tin hat is firmly unbuilt. So no reason to doubt him. Info was given directly to him from someone involved in the process. Now, various versions of that, shall I say, have been sent to me from a whole heap of people all over the country in the last couple of days. What can I tell you about that? Other than your guess is as good as mine. We've been saying be prepared for a long time. In fact, so long that everything you prepared has gone off and needs to be thrown out and replenished. Well, maybe not everything, but a good deal of it. So many of you, including Black Sheep, who is very well stocked. I mean, if all I've got to do is swim Bass Strait to get to him, I'll be right for food for, well, between the two of us, he reckons he's got enough there for 3 years. I reckon between the two of us, we could nearly get 3 years each out of it. He's got enough there. It is staggering. However, he might be a big eater. I'm not sure. If you are, then I'd advise go and get some stuff that you can stick in a watertight. Better still, I've been told, if you can get access to it now, if you're going to store a lot of food, nitrogen is the best thing to store it in, particularly things like flour and anything where little animals might grow that, you know, over time, where ordinarily that product would have been used within a time. I'm thinking about weevils and that sort of shit. Well, if you put it in a nitrogen environment, nothing lives. So nothing's going to grow to hatch in there down the track or anything weird. So is that the first time you've thought about things coming out of your flour? And we think about weevils and that sort of stuff, and occasionally we might see them. I know many people just sift the flour and keep going, make sure there's no more in it. But weevil shit, and weevil shit would be very small, go through your sieve, and you wonder where we get parasites from. Flour, even though it's been baked through us, or baked through whatever process. Not sure that necessarily kills whatever bacteria. Anyway, I'm no doctor, and I wasn't going to talk about any of that tonight. Just be forewarned is the theory. And I know many, many, many of you are. Who was in the house first up tonight? Macca, good to have you in, mate. Aussie Sue was, just slightly there after you. And as always, she tells us to like and subscribe. If you haven't already done so, folks, give us a thumbs up. It really does mean a lot to the algorithm. We don't make anything out of this show from YouTube. But we would like a few more people to have the opportunity to see it. It doesn't pop up on too many feeds. And even, I think Aussie Sue was complaining in the chat earlier that her notifications have been turned off again from YouTube. So check your notifications. You might think you are, but YouTube have a way of switching them off every few months. And if you no longer see the notification, if you don't see the show, or you don't think to push the button to find the show, then you don't see the show. And that gets counted very definitely at our end. And of course, the things they don't count usually accurately are how many thumbs up we get or how many subscribers we get. There has been a bit of a break, I think, put on the subscriber thing again. I'd love to see tonight, if you're not a subscriber, please, just for a test for me, hit the subscribe button tonight. And I'm very interested. And let me know in the comments or in the chat here. Let me know that you've done it so I can get a bit of an idea of how many people have done it and how many actually come through as subscribers. Because back in the bad old days of Convid and Co., of course, we did a test back then. We had 1,500, I think it was, university types who were very involved in doing something that was analytical and like that, and they all watched one show and all subscribed to that one show, and afterwards I got one subscriber out of it. So we proved that YouTube was certainly throttling not just the exposure that any of my stuff was getting, but if you liked it and you thought you were subscribing to it, you weren't. It was taking your subscription, but it wasn't adding it. So I wasn't the only one that this happened to. Many, many, many people had it happen to them. But if you would just go and check that you're subscribed too, that would definitely help us. And Aussie Sue, as I say, God love her, one of our mods, but she's found that they've turned her notifications off again on YouTube. So please be aware of that. The lovely Sandy, God love you. The Donkey Sanctuary is tonight, well, looking for your prayers, folks. Sandy's mum has been, I was going to say carted off. Rushed off is a much better word. Thank you, Sandy, to hospital last night. She's still in emergency. Still in the emergency ward? Okay, she probably hasn't been there quite 24 hours yet. That might be the problem. I believe it's now a new law in all states and territories that if you go to a hospital and you actually need care, you have to stay on one of your very uncomfortable trolley beds in or around a corridor near ER for at least 24 hours before they take you seriously. I really hope that your mum isn't quite like that. So prayers for your mum, Sandy, and I know your dad will be very concerned as well. So prayers for him. Sandy's mum and dad are both very senior people, shall we put it that way. Sandy's mum started the Donkey Sanctuary many, many, many moons ago, for over 50 years ago, I think it is, from memory, and still plays an active hand when she can. If there are donkeys at the property near where she resides, I think she gets out and waves at them these days rather than goes out and plays with them a bit. And so, yeah, all prayers. She's in the Maitland Hospital. Must be the worst public hospital in the country. I'm very sorry to hear that. I really am. On a brighter note, Sandy has sent off 20 of her charges, her rescued charges, the brightest, the best. They've had their teeth done. They've had their nails done. They've been brushed within an inch of their lives. And right now, they are very excitedly gathered together in what is a little herd, but a lovely area, out the back of the Sydney Showgrounds, because the Sydney Easter Show is about to kick off. And they are going to be starring every night of the show. Now, Sandy, obviously at this time too, with her mum being, oh, wow. Right, the whole reason that Sandy couldn't go to the show was because she and Baz had a family thing on happening somewhere that was well away. And now, obviously, this has happened with her mum. So I don't know that she'll be going too far. But at any rate, won't be going to the show regardless, but would love some photos. So, folks, if you are going to the show, the Royal Easter Show, and you are planning on being there in the evenings, I believe the donkeys will be out well, I've been told they're going to be out reasonably early in the evenings, and there is some sort of show that they are part of. If you can get close and get a photo of one or two or more of them, that would be absolutely wonderful. And if you can send them to me, carl@vofhq.com. I can't remember Sandy's email address off the top of my head, so I will pass them along. Or she might throw it up in the chat there if she wants it that way. But yeah, we would love some photos of the 20, I think it is, might be more, donkeys that she has sent off with a very responsible donkey handler to the show in Sydney for the next couple of weeks. I will also tell you the other side of owning a donkey tonight. I haven't spoken to Sandy about this, but she will nod her head in agreement. Donkeys, and we've spoken about this many times, are wonderful, wonderful guard animals, right? They do not tolerate, forget like, they do not tolerate dogs. They do not like dogs. They will not tolerate dogs near them, or whatever sheep or whatever might be in the paddock in the same place the donkeys are. The donkeys take on quite a guarding role. Now, many of you, I don't think I've shared pictures of the dogs. I probably could, but I haven't. Many of you will be aware of my friend and great mate, Dwayne, who lived on the former property that I was at. He had a couple of dogs, Carnage and Chaos. Absolutely stunning. Carnage was an old girl, big ridgeback, and Chaos was, well, American Pit Bull, but with a bit other bits in him. These were both pig dogs, working like good pig dogs, but they were the first pig dogs I've ever come across that are lap dogs any other time. And I got very close to them while they were on the property. And we lost Carnage last November. She was just very, very old. But Dwayne had to move properties from where he was to another property recently. And on that property, there are 2 donkeys. Now, Chaos doesn't have a bad bone in his body unless you're a pig. He doesn't have any love of pigs. But he must have got a bit close. And without knowing exactly what happened, and I've only learned in the last 24 hours about this, but it happened last week. It sounds to me like he has been kicked quite a few times and has copped at least one, but probably more very serious kicks to the head. And it took him 3 days to die, which was a bit sad. I guess Dwayne just felt that he was getting better, he felt, for the first 2 days. But then the 3rd day he got up, and Dwayne was making arrangements to take him into a vet. And you got to understand that, you know, Dwayne isn't flush with money, and vets want a lot of money for things like x-rays and all that sort of stuff. So he needed to have that money. So he's making the arrangements, got a time to go into the vet. And Chaos woke up that morning, went for a walk, came back, lay down, got up, moved a bit, lay down, and that's where he stayed. So judging by some of the symptoms that Dwayne described, I think he'd been kicked very solidly in the head and he wasn't able to recover from it. He may have also been kicked in a lot of places. So cautionary tale, but also one for anybody who needs a good guard animal. I'm not saying that any of the donkeys from the Donkey Sanctuary are up for that sort of job, but if you've got a bit of property and you want it looked after, and you've got a wild dog issue or something else that's coming onto your property, donkeys are very, very effective, and they are very, very brave. I wonder if that comes from the cross that's on their back. You know, I still find that amazing. Every donkey has a crucifix on its back. So, and some of them lighter or darker than others. So anyway, wonderful animals, and we do as much as we can to try and help Sandy and Baz with what they do in the ones they're saving. Over 100. Well, not at the moment, less 20. So I think there was 108 last time I spoke to Sandy. So call it 88 there now at the moment. And of course, they travel all over the countryside, a bit like the Leyland brothers. If a donkey needs to be saved, there is nowhere they won't go. And now that they have their new donkey trailer, it's probably the wrong way of saying it, a float, I'd call it a rescue float. There really is nowhere on the East Coast I don't think they wouldn't go, but there might be limitations. I don't want to put words in their mouths, especially at the moment, because Sandy's mum is in hospital, and our thoughts and prayers are with her. Sandy will obviously be with her, I would hope, if obviously not right now, but thoughts are with you, sweetheart. I was going to call you today on something else, so I'm see how you go tomorrow, and I'll give you a call. Tomorrow is Good Friday, isn't it? So happy Easter, everyone, if you're a celebratory type of this time of year, and you're a Christian and you have the belief that Jesus gave up his life for your sins, all our sins. God knows I've committed enough of them. So happy Easter. And it's not about chocolate. I mean, seriously, is anybody buying Cadbury chocolate after it was announced that they're not putting chocolate in their chocolate anymore? You remember, did you see that? I think well, I don't know if I did cover it now. Cadbury have made, and don't quote me on this, I'm going to say allegedly changing, and this wasn't an April Fool's Day story, allegedly changing their recipe for their chocolate by adding some kind of synthetic thing guaranteed to be made out of insects, I would nearly bet. And I don't know, just an assumption. And less chocolate, a lot less chocolate. Now, I am not a big chocolate eater. There are the odd chocolate bar I might have had. Cherry Ripes were a bit of a favorite there at the time. So was the Polly Waffle years ago. Do you remember that? May explain my size. So yeah, oh wow, happy Passover. There you go. I had no idea. And happy Easter, Ishtar. Yes, that's right. Now I'm getting it all together. Rachel's going on about Tim Tams and cockroaches. Yes, I have an opener somewhere where we have the bugs crawling over a packet of Tim Tams, the cockroaches. Cochineal bugs are what they get the red food colouring out of for just anything that's red. But certainly it's added into the biscuit part of what you eat, and just about all the biscuits that are your favourites, including the ones that I mentioned in the chat. So, yeah, I would be very concerned about eating any chocolate, because it's not chocolate. And if it's not chocolate, then what the hell is it? Like I say, I'm not a chocolate fan. I used to really only eat chocolate at Easter, and I would buy one kind of Easter bunny because it was the only kind of chocolate that I liked. I don't know that it was made any different to the eggs or to a different brand, but I would buy one kind. The only chocolate I'm not even going to see if I like it anymore this year. Couldn't care less. I don't really need the chocolate, let's be honest. Tell you what else I don't need. That was last night. Not being with you was one thing, but being stuck watching Anthony Albanese make a speech, all 3 minutes of it, was probably one of the more underwhelming things I've done in my life since I've started this show. He wheezed his way through what is a speech I'm sure he did not write. He smiled at all the right places when there was a cue, or, that probably said smile or try not to look smug. And all he really did, I think, was make an attempt at jerking off the Australian public while patting himself on the back at the same time. All last night was a brilliant effort in showing the public cleanly, clearly, unambiguously that this is how the Australian Labor Party gaslights the nation when in power. They pretend we're going to have a national address. This is not something that is done by the Prime Minister unless there is, we're going to war, or war is coming to us, or, there is something really significant. rather than an engineered diesel shortage that they role played and conducted reports on in 2019, which is when I suspect that speech was actually written, because I don't think it was written by him. It was so interesting watching Albo try and get his words out. It was his mouth was going into places that it's just not used to going, so often that his teeth nearly fell out on at least 2 occasions, I think. And God love him if his teeth fell out. Don't blame anybody. It happens to all of us. Happened to an 18-year-old beauty contestant the other day in Thailand, I think. 18 years old, was getting up making her speech, saying, yes, I'm a great person and I do a lot for the world. And if I win, I will go on to represent, da-da-da. And her bottom teeth shot out. She caught them, got them back in, turned around, got them back in, continued her speech. Very professional. I'd have given her a gold medal just for the catch. But anyway, so we listened to Albanese wheeze on last night. Absolutely pathetic thing it was. A couple of hours later, Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, came on and gave his address to the UK. And like the rest of the UK and the rest of Europe, I didn't watch it. Don't think anybody cares what he has to say. It's not going to make any difference. They just, tell lies, tell lies, tell lies. And then Donald Trump today comes out with his big address to the nation. And obviously there was a lot more important things to be said by Donald Trump. We got a report of how the war is going, how it went, how it's going, how it will go, and it's all going great. Beautiful. Everything is going really, really well. And I tend to believe him. I don't know that the war that's being reported on and the one that we see in our mainstream media is exactly the war that Trump is referring to when he comes out and makes those sorts of statements. And there's sort of a reason why I'm saying that. And these quotes, if you like, might give you an idea. Now, Trumpy gave his speech today, and he said to all Americans that his objectives in the war are nearing completion, and he expects the war to end very shortly, within 2 or 3 weeks. Shortly after that, a very, very large, don't know if it was underground or not, I suspect potentially, or at least partially underground, but a very large munitions store, which appears to be artillery related, whether that's rocket artillery or something that's just fired out of a, well, in our case, a 105 millimeter howitzer or something. I don't know, but whatever it blew up a lot of it, and it was very spectacular. Something that happened in the middle of the day at a facility, a storage facility about 20 kilometers outside of the city of Ishfar, that's how you say it, in sort of the northeast part of Iran. That was just after Trump spoke. Now, Trump also spoke that he wasn't going to be attacking anybody's infrastructure and power and all that sort of stuff, and wanting to come to a ceasefire, and it'll be over very shortly, and as long as everybody comes to the party. And that includes everybody who needs to use the Straits of Hormuz to get oil, because he made it very clear that America doesn't need it. And America doesn't. They have the largest oil production stores in the world. And behind them, interestingly, is Venezuela, which is now, if you like, an American territory. Then comes Saudi Arabia and the UAE and those sorts of places. So Trump doesn't necessarily care, at least that's what he's outwardly saying in this speech today. He doesn't really care whether the Straits of Hormuz open up again or not. Once they've finished attaining his goals, which could well be just the absolute destruction of things like that artillery store, if that's what it was today, and in other places around the nation, I'm sure that's happening. Once they've got all of that, once they're sure that these guys can't roll out a intercontinental ballistic missile, or something that's got a greater range than 4,000 kilometers, or they've got those sorts of things stored in a place that's 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers. Well, no, it's not that far, but 1,000 to 2,000 kilometers away from Tehran in mountain areas that, not going to ever know they're there until these things have been fired. And by then it's going to be too late. And by then they'll be aimed at places like, well, who knows? Take your choice. But it'll be those people who come and side with supposedly the USA and Israel. That may be Britain, that may be Australia, as we are now going to step up our involvement there because of this announcement. If you have interests in the Gulf, you need to step in there and take control of those interests, is what Trump was saying today. Take it. Go there and take it. We've taken everything else out. They've got no Navy. So just go in and take it. Secure what you need. Well, I don't know how Australia does that, because our needs come through third parties. Our needs come from the refineries that usually get their oil through the Straits of Hormuz, be that through Iran. In fact, it wouldn't be through Iran because Iran's oil is banned on the commercial market. So all the other oil that comes through there comes from Kuwait or the UAE or Iraq. And Iran's oil goes through the Grey Fleet, as we explained the other night, back to China and back to Russia in certain circumstances, and up until recently, India. Now Pakistan seems to have taken over India's position in that, and they were allowed to send 20 tankers, Pakistani flag tankers, through without any kind of, toll applied to them as they went through the Straits the other day. So Pakistan is being allowed through, clearly no problem there. After this speech today with Donald Trump, and after the explosion in that weapons store, China have come out and made a very public statement. And China's statement is, we call for an immediate ceasefire in the Middle East following the threats of further US military action. We call for an immediate ceasefire in the Middle East. Strong words. Strong words. So now we've got Donald Trump saying, all right, well, I'm going to be over in 2 or 3 weeks. There's no talk of there being a ceasefire. There's no talk of any kind of formal winning or losing. By the sounds of it, Donald Trump is just saying, when I finish blowing shit up and the important stuff that I can't tell you about at the moment, but I'm sure he will at some stage, then I'm going to leave. And when he says, I'm going to leave, he means America's going to leave. Will Israel leave, though? Will Israel stop at that time? Will Trump regain control of Israel and his nation? Because the perception currently is that Benjamin Netanyahu has been riding Donald Trump like a Texas-bred bronco. Well, maybe that's not quite right. It wouldn't be a Texas bronco. It'd probably be more like an exceedingly well-trained Kentucky Derby runner. Because much more controllable. Point it in the direction you want it to go, smack it on the arse, and it runs there. That's much more BB style. Have we seen anything of BB, just out of interest? No. Anyway, so China is saying, well, better pull back. We need a ceasefire. Donald Trump saying, it'll be over very shortly, We've heard news from mainstream media and Donald Trump's team saying, we've had very productive talks about a ceasefire. There's a new team that isn't as radical in charge, and yada, yada, yada. Today, Iran released a statement. They've doubled down in spite of the nearing completion speech that the president gave today. Iran's military headquarters has proclaimed the war will continue until the US and Israel face humiliation, disgrace, lasting regret, and ultimate surrender. Sounds like it's all going to end really soon. I mean, don't you think? Interesting times ahead of us, girls and boys. Interesting times ahead of us. How far's the moon? Well, the moon is 250,000 miles, or about 400,000 kilometers. That's there. Then you've got to come back. So today, the Artemis II rocket, I nearly forgot its number, the Artemis II rocket launched and is heading to the moon. I haven't got any pictures to play of it launching, although, to be honest, they're the most realistic looking pictures of it. I do have some pictures of it in its ascension, shall we say. First of all, let's just talk about how we get to the moon. Now, it's quite a journey. To escape it, you have to, or to get there, first of all, you've got to escape Earth's gravity, which in and of itself is no mean feat. That's why they are going to do a lap of the Earth, and I am led to believe in a slingshotting motion where they will fire off their rocket at the back and use the gravity of the Earth to slingshot their way around the back corner, and then they will be aimed on a trajectory that will head off towards the moon. That's the theory, I'm led to believe. Now, there's a few things they have to dodge between here and the moon. The first things they have to dodge is the huge amount of space rubbish that we have left floating up around there. Apparently, there is quite a lot of it. So that somehow they've got to launch their particular shot at the moon and time it just so, because being hit by a piece of blown up, and you might remember, I think it was the Chinese a few years ago, had a satellite that was in a degrading orbit, and it was a spy satellite, and rather than have it come down and land anywhere on the Earth where they might, when I say they, the Americans might be able to recover anything from this Chinese spy satellite, they decided it would be better to test one of their ballistic missiles, and a satellite killing missile. And it killed it. It killed it. Nobody thought about what might happen when you blow a satellite up in space using a very large warhead. What you do is you create 65 billion pieces of shrapnel in various different sizes, all traveling in various different directions at very, very high velocity. Now, some of that will get blasted back into our atmosphere and burn up because it's only very small, but a lot of it gets blasted further out, away from our atmosphere, and will only, over years, get sucked back in eventually to burn up in our atmosphere. And I think the Chinese satellite cost was going to take 15 to 25 years or something before it all sort of disintegrated and came back to, well, wasn't a hazard any longer. There is so much more up there that is a hazard, including the Van Allen belt. So how do our intrepid astronauts, all four of them, negotiate the Van Allen belt? Because there's a lot of radiation there. Now, I thought I would go and ask the all-seeing oracle, being ChatGPT, and I get told by ChatGPT that they are going to negotiate the Van Allen belt by traversing it very fast. So the Van Allen belt is both magnetic and radiation that looks like a big donut with the Earth at the center of the donut, if you like. And there are weak points and there are not so weak points. We don't want to be near a not so weak point, apparently. Now, much smarter people than me at not a space agency have figured out how we are going to be able to, well, I don't think we're going to see it go through the Van Allen belt. But you can see here that we have an inner radiation belt to get through and an outer radiation belt. There are a few space bits flying around out there at a further distance from the Earth too, that they will need to make sure they stay clear of. And once again, I'm absolutely confident that the Not a Space Agency will fix all that without a problem. So how do we get there? So you can see here that we take off, as they have done, out of North America. And at the moment, they are doing a loop of the Earth, where, from memory, the last picture I have, well, all right, let's get to these interesting pictures. So you can see what they've done. They've launched sort of in the middle of the screen there from Florida. They're up. They're taking a lap around the Earth. It looks like they're almost taking 2 laps around the Earth. No, there they go. They come out. They're going to slingshot there, the translunar injection, it's called. And that's going to sling them off towards the moon. Now, if they get that wrong by even a 15th of a bee's willy, they're not going to be as close to the moon as they want to be, and they're going to be a lot further away from the Earth by the time they turn around and come back. As you can see, the trajectory there and how all that is going to play out, I would think that once they get to the dark side of the moon, we can expect that they'll see something like that. Would not be at all surprised. Whether or not we get to see something like that after they've been to the dark side of the moon remains to be seen. But maybe that will play a role in why we're all being locked down on the 14th, supposedly, allegedly, quite possibly, maybe. I will tell you that there is some supporting evidence for that. I should have said before that schools are now sending out notices, particularly in Victoria, I'm aware of. I don't know about Queensland. Sending notes home to parents saying that due to the fuel crises that we are all facing, the one where less than 20% of the world's oil is being troubled. Anyway, kids may have to stay at home. We may have to adopt COVID-style educational procedures, which means the kids are doing courses from home on Zoom or whatever they do it on. You've got them at home again, folks, apparently from the 14th. But could this be because the world might be in a great deal of shock because Artemis II does, in fact, come back with pictures of the dark side of the moon resembling something like that? Or they don't just come back with pictures from the dark side of the moon. Maybe something follows them back. Maybe, now I'm really getting hypothetical, maybe somewhere in this journey of how they get to the moon and back again, something goes wrong. You know, that 15th of a bee's willy that I was talking about there before. Now, maybe they're 2 15th and more than a willy away from where they should be, meaning they're going to sail off into the wide black yonder forever, never be able to get home. They'll be able to sit there and look at each other in that little tin can that Not a Space Agency built for them and marvel at how fast they're going into oblivion while they watch themselves rot away in their spacesuits. Wouldn't that be a fun existence? Wonder if they got a special pill. Or maybe the people, and I'm sure there are some people up there, Space Force is named that way for a reason. Maybe Space Force have to come out and show themselves for the space power that they are. And they have to rescue said Artemis II and 4 intrepid, adventurous astronauts who have filled their flight suits full of all sorts of smelly liquids, thinking that they were going to sail off around the sun for a lap. Wouldn't that be a great way to introduce an off-world thing that's been going on for years, and we make us feel good about it? I'm just hypothesizing. There is absolutely, aside from this picture, which I created, well, I didn't, the electronic speaking thing did. But I had to direct it. Maybe that's going to happen. Wouldn't it be an interesting way to bring that back? And what if that ship that brings back our rocket that's pointed in the wrong direction comes and lands back on Earth with the rocket, and a couple of Americans, a European, and an Aussie step out of it, and after that a Klingon and a Martian do? How are we going to deal with that? Just wondering. Asking for a friend. Fingers crossed is all I can say. But I would point out that this marvelous mission to the moon is going in that. Now, this is a picture, a live picture that I took a still of and forgot to put the speed in. But it was going about 18.5, nearly 19,000 miles an hour at this stage when it jettisoned, split itself. Oh, here we go. 18,500 miles an hour. That's when the rocket was just about to stop on the back end, and then the little white bit at the front gets to break away like that. Okay, so we've got it. This is the whole rocket. You can see it's going 18,561 miles an hour. And this is the separation. You can see the little white bit popping away off the big brown bit. Now we have a picture of the little white bit altogether. And they had this picture up on the website for a long time. Live pictures, can I just say, where not a wrinkle in that looks like tin foil wrapped around the back of the engine. Not a wrinkle, nothing moved, nothing. The red that you see there stayed really, really red. Like it's the kind of red that an artist would use in an artist's impression to signify the exhaust is hot. I'm just saying. The rest of it looks about as good a rendering, a 3D rendering, as you could expect from one of the world's best 3D artists, I reckon. I might be feeling a little bit silly. Could the whole thing be something like that? Well, I'm just maybe. What I am suggesting, or no, I'm not suggesting, I'm asking the question. How did they take that picture? How did they send live pictures back while traveling beside a rocket going 18,561 miles an hour? I mean, I know Insta360. Here's a plug, Insta360. I think your cameras are great. Can't afford one. Send me one. But if you've got them on the rocket, there's a plug I could never hope to give. What a great get. Insta360 cameras on the side of the rocket, stuck on what must be, I would say, at least a 5-meter pole, so that you can, and it'd be one of those Invisipoles. I don't have one of them either. That could look back at the whole rocket, get you all in through the whole separation. How did they get those pictures? And these were shown live. I've got stills, but I could play you the video if I had to. It just makes me all look a bit weird. And these things for me just look, well, I don't know. I'm going to go to the chat and have a look. What do you guys think? Do you think they look a bit fake? Yeah, a space selfie stick, Andrew. That's exactly what I require. Oh, and that's exactly what they would require. Maybe they did. They just cracked the window, stick it out. It was a drone with a really good camera, bloody fast drone. I think an Australian company or a couple of Australians currently own the record for the world's fastest drones. And if they don't, it's gone back to a South African mob. And there's been a battle between them, and I'm sure it will rage on. But I think they're currently just short of 700 kilometers an hour in these torpedoes with bloody drone props on them. Stunning machines. In fact, Red Bull had one built simply so they could get some of the most amazing vision of a Formula One car ever shot on a test day at Silverstone. The drone would do then 350 kilometers an hour and could keep up with the Formula One car and get into places where no camera could ever be. A CGI rocket, I reckon you got more than half a chance there. And yep, that's a rendering. So, okay, how is it that not a space agency, for those of you who haven't cotton on to what I'm saying there, NASA, not a space agency. That's how they came up with the name. How is it that they have to put up renderings of what we think might be happening when Tesla seemed to be able to have a camera up every wazoo known to man? Even during the Artemis tests, I watched one there. They had cameras on the outside of, it was probably the main rocket, looking at different heat shielding options and all that sort of stuff, what peeled off, what didn't during the launch, all that kind of stuff. And that was an interesting trajectory it took, because it didn't go up either. And it crashed into the sea, so in a very deep part of the sea, so nobody could ever go and recover it and actually see anything off it. But be that as it may, this one's gone not quite straight up. Did you notice it did lean over? And then we've got artist renderings from that point on. I mean, at least Tesla make a go of it. They give you really good video, whether it's AI created or otherwise. It's very, very well done. But yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. I think the Thunderbirds are more real. Absolutely. 80, thank you so much. Oh, it said visualization on the screen, did it? See, I need glasses. Got to get my eyes done. I'm having a bit of a tough time with my eyes lately. For some reason, they're gluing up in the afternoons, late in the afternoons. And yeah, I think, well, I know these glasses. I've got to go and get tested. But anyway, too scared to go and get tested because I know how much new glasses are going to cost. And I'm not looking for anything flash with frames, but not even looking for flash with lenses. But I did get some priced a while back, and it was like $800 for a pair of glasses. And that was the cheapest frames I could get, you know, like $149 frames. And all I want is a multifocal lens down the middle so I can look here, close up here, middle distance, and longer. Can't find my other ones, or I'd show you. You know, the purple tint ones, the Dame Edna glasses. I don't know where they've gone, but they're not working very well. Okay, well, I just ask why we're doing a visualization on these things. I don't understand why it has to be. Thank you so much to the Pipe Master. You are a wonderful human being. And I hear tell that the Pipe Master is possibly coming on the cruise. Getting ready for that. Really looking forward to that. And one of the members coming on the cruise is Greg. I haven't seen whether or not he's popped into the chat tonight. G'day, Robert. Just see that you've arrived. Yeah, another diversion. 100% right. The biggest thing for me is they've launched this whole thing on April Fool's Day. Right at the right time on April Fool's Day, because you've got to do it before midday. Otherwise, you're the fool. So, yeah, they did a bloody great job. Launched it on April Fool's Day. Yada, yada, yada. I was talking about Greg. Right, so I have had, let me just see if there's been an update. I didn't speak with, I got a message from him this morning, which essentially said he was about to go into surgery. The shorter the time it takes, the better. He'll send a message about how it went when he wakes up. I haven't received anything back yet. Now, this was a long operation that they were doing today. It was, he was predicting 6 to 7 hours. They are taking a couple of veins potentially out of his arms to do some bypass work in his leg. They are going to take whatever's clotting his leg at the moment out, which means opening the vein up, opening the leg, opening the vein up, and pulling out whatever it is. I don't believe Greg is jabbed, for those of you who are wondering. And if that isn't successful, if blood flow for whatever reason isn't restored correctly to the foot, then they'll put in those bypassed veins, and he will be wheeled out into recovery shortly thereafter. But it could well be something much more severe in terms of time-wise, and not so much surgery-wise. I'm sure they do vascular surgery all the time, but just might take a little longer. So haven't heard from him yet, and he did say he expected to be in recovery for a fair while afterwards, being knocked out and all that. So I hope to get a message from him later tonight, and I will let you know in tomorrow night's show, because yes, there will be a show tomorrow night. There will be a Good Friday show. We will be joined, Vince and I, by Becky-O from Truth Seekers. And I've got to think Doris might be popping in for a bit of a chat as well. She's found a house, believe it or not. So life's gone well for her. Aussie Sue, God love you. Thank you for your donation too. You do so much for us here in our chat, and you are such an integral member of the show. Don't know what we'd do without you. Still got to get over Russell Island. Bowls Club for beers and lunch one day is what I'm thinking. Because I don't think Russell Island has a pub. I think it has a bowls club from memory. You might want to confirm that. We'll have to do that after the cruise, of which I am still extremely confident that Greg will be on. So is he. But the recovery time for this, if it's a longer operation, might be a little bit longer, meaning that if they're taking veins out of his arms, he's going to need to recover there as well, and as well as where they put him into his legs, as well as where they've gone in today to try and clean out whatever's in there. So poor old Greg's got a bit to work through. Pain meds notwithstanding, he has bottles of colloidal silver and gold to go and bathe in later, I'm sure. And I fully expect that he will be on the cruise with us too. And we will all be looking after him. In fact, I've figured out that if he has to be wheelchair bound, or it might be the easiest way for him, I am going to bring along a little bit of rope. Dwayne, who I spoke about earlier, Dwayne spent 33 years on fishing trawlers and knows how to tie a knot. He taught me how to tie a few knots. So I can safely guarantee, Greg, that we will strap him into the chair, tie him in with a good bit of rope I'll bring, and then we will tie that chair off to the nearest solid object, be that the railing or the pillar that holds the roof up over the bar, whatever works. We will tie that off. There'll be no, well, there might be a bit of rocking, but there will certainly be no rolling, Greg. I just want to make that absolutely clear, brother. We're here to look after you. Oh, and Vince and I have made executive decisions about shows while the cruise is on. It may be a little difficult to get a show out every day, so I'll endeavor to pre-record something that we'll be able to put up. There are a few interviews that I can put up. They'd be fairly generic sort of stuff, but I can confidently predict one of them, I think, will be Trevor the Prepper, because whatever he has to say is worthwhile listening to whenever you hear it. So I'll try and get him on for that period. But what we will also do on the day the ship departs is we will gather together. I hope we'll be able to find ourselves. We will gather together on the poop deck or similar. And I will do a live from my phone back to Vince, who will then do a live to all of you through the computer. I'll be the guest, if you like. And we will be able to sail out of the Brisbane River together on our cruise. That will happen on the 4th of May, and it'll be a bunch of people holding drinks, getting to know each other very loudly, and lots of horn blowing, a fair bit of celebrating going on from people who will have no idea who we are and why we would be celebrating in such a manner, but I'm sure they'll join us. So that'll be happening a little earlier than normal, because I believe the ship... Oh, Margie, show's not finished yet, darling. I believe that the... I believe that the ship departs about 3:30 on the 4th, or 3:30 or 4:30, around there. So it will be a little bit earlier, but at least you'll get to see what it's like on the boat for the cruise on the way out, and we will have something for you the next night that'll probably be pre-recorded, and I think that'll be the Thursday night. The Friday, I'm thinking we will be departing, or we'll be arriving at Airlie Beach. I don't know. Friday we'll do something if there is phone service, and we can be live again from wherever we're at, and the same potentially for the Saturday. So I haven't even actually looked to see what days of the week the 4th to the 8th are. Give me a bloody moment here, and oh, that's the wrong thing to be looking at. I'll do it later. I think it's Wednesday to Saturday, I want to say. I could be wrong. So we will have a show from Airlie Beach regardless, because I'm going to go and do a lunch there on, I think that's a Saturday. So we'll be back on the Sunday or the Monday. We'll figure it out. The shows will happen, and Vince will be pushing the buttons if we can keep him awake long enough to do so, which is probably about where we're at with you tonight. Have I been able to keep you awake long enough? There was something else I was going to discuss with you, which has to do with this, the problem-solving chart. I was going to talk about it last night. We never got there, but I've got a different way of looking at that problem-solving chart. I see that as a programming chart, and I've sort of rewritten it, and which we will go through. But you get the idea, and I know this is written as a joke. I know this is just meant to be a bit of fun. However, that's how spells work and spelling works. And if you read down the does it work? Yes, don't fuck with it. No problem. That's where the arrow points. However, does it work? No. Did you fuck with it? Yes. You get called a name. Okay, so your immediate thought is, oh, well, I'm an idiot for messing with it. You start to put yourself down. So if you messed with it and it's really broken, you bin it, there is no problem. There is no responsibility there either in that particular run. If the answer is yes, you get called a name. Does anyone know, which is the box on the left, does anyone know that you're responsible, that you screwed with it? Yes or no? If yes, you poor bastard. What can you do? Well, you can ask if you can blame someone else. Or if nobody else knows that you were part of it, you can hide it, in which case there is no problem. Now, if you know somebody else, and you know somebody else knows it, your only choice from the you poor bastard box is to, oh yeah, can you blame someone else? And if you can, yes, great, no problem. So I've realigned that fractionally. So is there a problem, yes or no? No? Well, don't create the problem. And we'll move on to the next slide where that points later. If there is a problem, did you create the problem, yes or no? Well, if no, all right, that goes down onto the next slide. But if you did create the problem, did you take responsibility for the problem, yes or no? So if you choose no, I didn't, well, what do you do then? Do you be accountable? Do you blame the equipment or blame a colleague, or do you hide the problem? And then you can see how that works. If you're going to be accountable, you'll make an effort to try and fix the problem. If you're going to hide the problem, well, you might be making a small effort to try and fix it, but you're not going to take any responsibility for it. You're going to call your mum, say, oh, shit, mum, I might have screwed up here. But you're not taking responsibility. So moving on, I'm not taking any responsibility, therefore it is no problem. If I'm blaming my equipment, if I'm blaming my colleagues, then I'm refusing to take accountability and responsibility. Therefore, I may as well go home, because I'm only going to cost the business money. If I'm prepared to be accountable and responsible, then there is no problem. We're already fixing the problem up above. Everything is working. Someone has been accountable. someone is responsible. And yes, I understand there are consequences. And that's why people often choose, Exhibit A, because they're fearful of the consequences of being responsible. We've been programmed that way. We are not naturally built that way, folks. I honestly don't believe that is the case. We are not programmed like that. The good Lord never intended us to say, no, it wasn't me. No, I don't know who did it, or Joe did it, or Fred did it, or somebody else did it, but it wasn't me. I don't know who did it. It's not the Australian way to dob in somebody else, just that, no, it wasn't me. It is the Australian way, and many other nations, not to take responsibility. And it's not just nations, it's individuals. It's every individual on the planet. It's why we have such a discrepancy in our vibration. The ultimate vibration we should be aiming for, and I believe we can attain it, is by being responsible and taking responsibility, being accountable, acknowledging accountability, not telling lies, being honest, even if being honest can be painful. And I find myself in that position every day. And in fact, just in the last couple of days, I've had to write a couple of very honest emails to someone in this family. And I hope they get the message. I hope they know that the emails are done with love. But if you want to be sugar-coated and have a bit of air blown up your ass all at the same time, I am absolutely the wrong person. If you ask for my help, I will give you suggestions. I like being a problem solver for people. I really do. Not just for people, but for all sorts of things. I'm helping a mate launch an online radio station at the moment. A lot of the problems that he's had, I've solved for him. Or we've worked together to solve in a completely new and different direction, because that's the kind of way my head works. I'm thinking about starting up a business. Ask Carl, solve a problem. We can get Ask Malibu to solve everything else. I'm reckoning there's probably half a chance we've got legs there going forward. All right, very quickly, before I finish for the evening, thank you to the people who are sending in new words. I haven't done a graphic up for this one yet, but this was sent to me last night after Anthony Albanese's speech. Word of the day: cockwomble, a walking, talking waste of oxygen who speaks with full confidence and zero brain activity, a completely useless person that sprouts constant bullshit, repeats it louder, and acts shocked when everyone rolls their eyes. I reckon we've probably got a use for that one going forward as well. We do have some, they may not be up yet. We do have some new merch, new T-shirts, all firmly tongue-in-cheek, of course, because we like playing that sort of game, at merch.vofhq.com. You can also help us and the Donkey Sanctuary out by buying a ticket in the lottery that we have going at the moment, $750. This will be the last lottery we do for a while, but we can't stop it until these tickets are sold, unfortunately. Otherwise, it'd be like us taking money under false pretenses, and we can't do that. So if you are not in Victoria, but anywhere else in Australia, and you would like a $2 ticket, go to merch.vofhq.com. Click in the Sanctuary 750 link, or $750 Sanctuary link, and $2 a ticket. You can buy a maximum of 20 tickets. I don't know how many we've got left at the moment, but as soon as we sell them all, we will gladly give you 750 nicker, which at this time, well, maybe by the time you get it, you might get half a tank of fuel out of that. The good thing about all of this fuel crisis is it'll keep the dickheads off the road. So, yeah.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100.
Let's try again.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!